What's up, life family? I am basically in the TFR lab, is what I'm calling it these days. And I was thinking about, let's talk about spiritual bypassing from a different angle. Let's talk about why it's actually happening so you have more compassion and understanding to what it is that as a culture, as a planet, and specifically in Western culture, why this is happening. This deflection, not wanting to look at shadow, deal with shadow, or bypassing things by staying very, very positive, overlooking things, and so on, right? And when we think about psychological and emotional maturity, it's lacking. It's lacking in Western culture due to technology. We are in our phones. We are given pills for everything. We are taught that it's not okay to feel pain or to grieve really too much, right? You could grieve a little bit. And I'm not even talking about just death. I'm talking about like losing your shit a little bit, right? We're frowned upon. Don't act like that. You're over emotional. You're dramatic, right? Because you're experiencing your shadow self. And so when we talk about psychological maturity and emotional maturity, the only way that that can happen is for spiritual maturity. For you to be able to that whole spirit is integrated into this human body, in the psychology, in the emotions, in the physical body, facing your shadow, right? Knowing that that is a part of you. That in each and every one of us, we've accumulated shame for choice, for the allowance of things in our lives, right? And so really hitting on these key things, that the maturity of our psychology and emotions due to technology, due to, when we're talking about spiritually bypassing, not just overlooking things, but taking pills, using things outside of ourselves to kind of make us feel better and not dealing with what is going on within ourselves. And so when you think about adolescence, right? When you're a teenager, parents are like, oh snap. I know me as a teenager, I bruised my knees. I did crazy things. Everything they told me not to do, I tried. In the beginning it wasn't so bad until addiction happened because I didn't mature. So here's the thing. I didn't mature as an adolescent when I was younger, right? There was spiritual bypassing happening in my house where I would be like, hey, I'd be crying. I'm hurting. You should be grateful. There's people starving in other countries. I'm like, what does that have to do with me right now in this place? I get that. I understand that. I actually more than care about that. I really freaking care about that. But I'm like, in this moment, I'm trying to speak to you and we're deflecting and it was, when I would go through hard things or the family would go through hard things, we would be taught, I was taught, don't bring that stuff out the house, man. Don't tell the neighbor. Don't show nobody what's really going on here. And so I had shame around the parts of me that were emotional. I had shame around the parts of me that were struggling. I had shame around all those things. And so what I began to do was I did not mature the way an adolescent is supposed to mature, where you bruise your knees and you cry and you're in your feelings, and it's safe to be in your feelings, and it's safe to go through your fears, and it's safe to have needs, and it's safe to be able to not judge yourself and feel guilty for people seeing your shadow, and you mature in this way, right? So my lack of maturity caused me to have to find other ways to find safety. I wasn't going straight to spirit. I wasn't integrating. I wasn't growing. I decided to pick up girls, perfectionism, alcohol, drugs to deal with this, to deal with my shadow, to deal with this lack of feeling safe, in control of my life. And then I drank and I was like, ooh, I had this spiritual experience, right? This false light experience of like, whoa, I felt in my body. I felt like the warmth. I could start to identify what I was feeling. I couldn't feel anything else other than like when I would put a drug or a drink in my body. I could tell you what that felt like. I could tell you how my head spun off, how much confidence came into my body, how much I didn't give a crap what anybody thought of me. You know, like I wasn't worried. I was so in this like drunken state, drugged state that I wasn't thinking so much. And I shut my brain down, this part that was not mature, right? My emotions that were erratic would kind of just be in one way. You know, at first I was a happy drunk, and then my liver started to not be happy with me, and I would get angry because anger is connected to the liver. And so understanding that, okay, we haven't as a society fully matured in this area, you know, and it's scary to face thyself. It's scary for the collective to look at themselves and each other in truth. It is scary, especially when that part of you is not grown, to all of a sudden be willing to look. And so I stopped, you know, I don't know if I actually ever got angry with people that were spiritually bypassing. It wasn't anger. I was more like, that sucks for you. Like that really sucks. That's hard. That's hard to never get to know all of you, right? To never get to integrate all of you. And you know, I knew in my life that I was taught to bypass. I was definitely, my soul did not want to be in this body. My soul didn't know how to be in this body. This body hurt. This body had impact. This body had, wow, trauma points everywhere. My psyche was like on the borderline of like cracking. And for me to try to like face myself at moments in my life, I didn't have the tools. A lot of you, you know, don't have the tools. Some of you do. So for you guys that have your tools and you're integrating, really, this is about having compassion for those parts that are not grown in others. And for some of you that are having a really hard time facing your shadow and yourself, I see you. I understand why you're trying to bypass the spirit. I understand. I was there. I was living, breathing it, right? And knowing as a culture right now that, you know, it's important that we talk about these things, that there's no shame in the darkest parts of you. There doesn't have to be shame in the darkest parts of you, and that it's okay. It's okay to start to find safe places or, you know, safe professionals to go into those places, to begin to go in the basement and walking through some of the scariest shit you'll ever walk through. I did drugs, so I didn't have to walk through going back into my trauma and remembering what happened to me when I was little, right? Or thinking about like all the chaos that I had lived, and to think about all the things I did to hurt myself. Yeah, I wanted to bypass. I couldn't even look myself in the mirror. But we're at a time in history, we're at a time in this journey where we're being called to be grown. We're being called to be emotionally and psychologically mature and integrating all of ourselves, the light, the dark, the shame, the blame, the victim, all of it, so that we could find freedom and peace. Because when there's shame within, guess what happens? We gonna shame other people. And when we shame other people, and we do it really because we want to see change. Most of us want to see change. And we start shaming people, like, let me shame you so you change. That's not sustainable, right? Shame is the lowest vibration. It is the polar opposite of unconditional love. It can't stand even in the eye of friggin' part of unconditional love, like the lowest part of love. Like it can't sit in the same room. So it hides from it. It hides in shame. It doesn't let the love in. So if this video called to you and you resonated with it, please share, like, subscribe. Oh, Dov and I have so much coming this year. I cannot wait. We've been really resetting and taking care of self and doing what it needs to do for our relationship, our union, our business, our home, our just everything, and getting set for this year, and coming in hot.